Well, we told you first and now it's official. Former Economic Affairs Secretary Shaktikanta Das has been appointed as the 25th Governor of the Reserve Bank of India for a period of 3 years. His appointment comes just a day after Urjit Patel's sudden exit from the RBI. Shaktikanta Das served as the Economic Affairs Secretary from 2015 to 2017, and during that period he worked closely with the central bank. Earlier, he had also served as Revenue Secretary. Das, who is a 1980 batch IAS officer from Tamil Nadu cadre, played a key role in the government's GST push and the demonetization drive. He is currently a member of the Finance Commission and is also the government's representative at the Group of 20 summits. Hear out what the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had to say.
The government has taken a decision to appoint Shri Shaktikanta Das as the new Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. This was necessitated by the resignation of the outgoing former Governor, Dr. Urjit Patel. Shri Shaktikanta Das has been a very senior and an experienced civil servant. I think he has the right credentials. He has been extremely professional, has worked under various governments and has excelled himself. And I'm sure in meeting the challenges before India's economy as a governor of the Reserve Bank, he'll certainly add to that office. The government of India strongly believes that the Reserve Bank is an independent and an autonomous body.
All right, so that was the Finance Minister's reactions on the appointment of the new RBI Governor. Let's also hear out what the Finance Secretary A.N. Jha has to say about this crucial appointment.
Mr. Das is a very experienced and able administrator. He has worked in the state government and in the central government for long years. He has experience economic affairs, as Secretary Economic Affairs, as also he was in the budget making process involved for a long time. So we expect that he will carry his experience and skills to the new job. And at this stage, I just want to wish him the very best and convey my congratulations to him. That is all.
Okay, well, after the announcement that Shaktikanta Das is the new Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, the big question was, will the central bank's board still meet on the 14th of November? Economic Affairs Secretary S.C. Garg has cleared the air on this issue. He has said that the meeting will take place as per schedule.
On the board meeting, that is for the RBI to decide, not for me. The member is so far no. The meeting stands as of now, but the RBI, if it decides something, then it will let us know.
We also caught up with RBI board member Sachin Chaturvedi, and here's his reaction on the appointment.
I thought we had already achieved that middle ground in the last meeting, and I was a little surprised to see this resignation of the governor yesterday. So I hope we would carry forward the work that the board decided to take forward, and I'm extremely happy that Mr. Das has been asked to lead the great institution of our country.
Okay, Mr. Chaturvedi, there was a board meeting scheduled for December 14th. That stands, doesn't it? And do you expect the NBFC line of credit also to come up at that board meeting?
Well, so far, we have not heard of its cancellation. So okay. I hope it stands. And now that governor has been appointed, so it would be. I look forward for the 14th meeting.
Mr. Chaturvedi, you're saying that you haven't heard about any cancellation of that crucial 14 December RBI board meeting, but you said that there are several vexed issues, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. In the last board meeting, how many of those vexed issues, to your mind, were satisfactorily addressed or resolved? And what is now the priority in terms of the pending vexed issues that require redressal?
I think media knows much better than any board member can say. And I said under the confidentiality clause that applies to us, I cannot be revealing what these issues are or were in that meeting, but definitely media has captured much more. I would just confine myself to the press release which was out after the meeting from RBI, and two issues were placed on the table. One was a committee's appointment in consultation between the governor and the finance minister to discuss, and they did mention it in the press release. So I would just confine myself to that, and I would say that we explored all different dimensions of what should be the contours of that norms that are important for that committee's work. So we did explore that, and I think the task now is between the governor and the finance minister to get a committee appointed.
Has the agenda of the board meeting been circulated, sir? And if it has been, when was it circulated?
Actually, Lata, to be frank with you, we are still working on the agenda that was circulated with our meeting of 23rd October. So we haven't moved, and that agenda is still to be finished. So we have that unfinished agenda on the table.
Okay, and Shireen and Lata also caught up with two former RBI governors, Bimal Jalan and C. Rangarajan, to get their view on the new RBI governor. Listen in to what they had to say.
Now, under the current circumstances, there can't be two opinions. It's a good choice. He's from the government. He was in the finance ministry, and he will now be working in the RBI. So I'm sure that, there would, of course, be differences in future, but they will be internal and not in public domain.
Okay.
So it will work out. I'm glad that it was,
Okay, so we were just discussing. So we were just discussing. He's a postgraduate in history, although he has wide experience in economic policy making. From your predecessor onwards, right up to the governor who just resigned, you were all doctoral degree holders in economics. Will that be a bit of a disadvantage?
No, I don't think so. Once you have, if you're a finance secretary, if you have worked in the Ministry of Finance, then it doesn't matter, really. You have that experience. And you are making economic policy and you are doing monetary policy or whatever needs to be done. So he must have performed very well to be able to get the job that he has done.
The only concern that some people may have is that he's coming from government, but there has been in the past many people who have come from the government, IAS officers who came from the government and became governors, and they have acted very independently. That's what I expect that Shaktikanta does when he takes over as governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Will stand up by what RBI should be standing for and maintain its integrity, autonomy and independence.
Okay. Well, but at the moment, the challenge is a bit severe compared to previous governors, would you say? We understand that the board is going to closely supervise everything that the governor does. Would this make it particularly difficult? How do you think Mr. Das could approach this?
Well, these are issues that will come up, and probably they should be discussed thoroughly and the conclusion reached. I don't think that everything should be taken for granted. The board may want to take a role, but what role it will play and how and to what extent it can go. We all know the constitution of the board as it is now, and one must take into account the nature of the board and the kind of representations that are there in the board and take a proper decision. I think conflict of interest is one issue that will come up. And therefore, taking that into account, any modification, any arrangement may be worthwhile. So I expect Shaktikanta to stand up for issues for which RBI should stand up and ensure its autonomy.
All right, so that's what the former governor had to say about this appointment. We also have Lata who joins in with her take on the new appointment. Lata, good morning. New Shakti?
Yes, I think, under the circumstances, considering that there is so much of a standoffish behavior between RBI and the government, I think this is a positive news for the system itself. One, he is already the DEA secretary, finance commission member, so he has seen a lot of RBI government relationships, both centre state as well as RBI, budget making. And also he's the G20 Sherpa at the moment. I mean, of course, now he'll give up that position. As a Sherpa, you have to, be in the international circuit with other Sherpas who are organizing the G20 meetings. So, at a pinch, if you have to ask somebody in another emerging market about a certain issue, he has people in other emerging and other G20 countries. That's a very big strength when you come as a governor, something which, Urjit Patel and Raghuram Rajan had because they had been in the IMF. So he comes with some such skills as well. And most importantly, he's seen as extremely amiable. Patel had earned the moniker of the Reserved Bank of India. He was not a extremely chatty person. Shaktikanta, even people in RBI would say that he was one of the best secretaries that they have ever, dealt with. So he comes with the ability to, bridge the gap. That said, the challenges are many. One, how are you going to tackle the new private sector banks? Yes Bank, Kotak Bank. If you give in, you will be seen as, sold on to cronies or not held your ground. And the Reserve Bank current deputy governors have very strong views on the fact that banks have to, be regulated in a certain way. So he has to, tackle that. PCA banks. Government is sitting on the RBI's head asking that more PCA banks be released. If he releases immediately, then he will be seen as a lackey. Or NBFC credit. Government wants, RBI thinks, no, it is a suspect asset case. It is not at all a liquidity case. I mean, HDFC can get liquidity. Bajaj Finserv can get liquidity. If others are not getting, that's because their asset quality is bad. So RBI has genuine reasons why it is not giving in to government. And, you can't give in to everything because you have to maintain the autonomy of Reserve Bank as well. So it's not easy because there are substantive issues where the two disagree. And therefore, we'll have to wait and see. He comes with the image that he may be the government's man. So he has to work a little more to earn his own staff's confidence and, of course, the confidence of international markets. There's one more point. A lot is made about, the governor resigned and the markets did not fall. When there is autonomy of the central bank or something is under threat, it is not as if immediately the markets react to that. It is bad in the long run if you don't have an independent RBI. But it is not an immediate market move. If autonomies of central bank were so important, why would any international investor buy Chinese stocks? I mean, the chairman of the PBOC is a cabinet minister. They do not have that autonomy. But if there is earnings, if there is money, investors will come. Money is not a very moral thing. Money making is amoral. So we must not get too much into what will the market say at this point in time. I don't think they're going to react much either ways. There may be a slight feeling that he's a government man, but I don't think it's a market event. The market event will be when he tackles all these issues. So if anything, at the moment, the markets will start with a positive hue on the likes of Kotak and Yes Bank. I think we saw it yesterday itself in Yes Bank and in PSU banks and in NBFCs, thinking that something positive will come immediately in terms of money making. Others, foreign investors, will be worried whether he will give in too much. But this is not a market event till the first decision is taken by the governor.
Okay, absolutely, Lata. Thanks very much for that. So it's the trend that we need to watch out for from here on to assess the independence of the RBI.